They looked like normal people, but every one of them knew things they shouldn't. Tonight, 3 stories of strangers who knew our names, watched from shadows, and left behind questions that still don't have answers. These aren't ghost stories. These are warnings. This is Mr. H. You're listening to Masked Horror. The woman on the overpass. It happened last October along I-40 between Little Rock and Memphis, one of those long, tree-flanked stretches of highway where rest stops feel more like traps than safe havens. I was driving back from visiting my parents. It was a little after 2 a.m. The road was empty, and the fog had just started rolling in. That's when I saw her. She was standing on the pedestrian walkway of an overpass, wearing a red hoodie, jeans, and what looked like old sneakers. Her hood was up, and she was pacing slowly, like she was waiting for someone. As I passed underneath, she stopped walking and looked directly down at my car. I only caught a glimpse of her face, pale, almost waxy. I figured maybe her car broke down or she was walking home from a shift, but something about it felt weird. She didn't have a phone, no bag, nothing, just pacing, staring. It was eerie, but I kept going. 30 minutes later, I passed another overpass, and I swear to God, it was the same woman. Same red hoodie, same jeans, same exact posture. This time, she wasn't pacing. She was standing still at the center of the bridge, facing the road, like she had been waiting for me. I slowed down. My stomach sank. There was no way she could have gotten there, not on foot, not without being seen. I pulled off to the side and just sat there with the engine running. I watched her through the mirror. She didn't move, just stood there, watching. And for some reason, that's what really got me. She didn't react, not even when I flashed my brights, not when I honked. Something about the way she stood there, it wasn't normal. It was like watching someone pretend to be human. I tried to ignore her, and I kept driving. A few miles later, I pulled into this all-night diner that caters to truckers and late-shift workers. I needed to clear my head. I grabbed a coffee and told the guy behind the counter what I'd seen. He stopped mid-pour and looked at me. "You said red hoodie." "Yeah." He nodded slowly. "You're not the first. Folks been saying that for years. Always a woman in red, always around this time. A couple weeks ago, one guy swore he saw her on 3 separate bridges, same night. I asked if anyone ever figured out who she was. He just shrugged. Cops came a few times, but there's never anyone there when they check. No footprints, no dash cam footage, just nothing. Later that same night, I fell down a rabbit hole. The internet, old forums, local ghost stories. Most were nonsense, but then I found an old thread from 2014, buried in a ghost blog. One comment chilled me. "Red hoodie girl, seen her twice. She always stares, doesn't blink. Never seen her face clearly." And then came this post, dated just 2 nights before my drive. Saw her again, but this time she looked down at me and smiled. First time she's ever done that. Just when I thought it was over, I found a post that said, "He's watching you next time." I wish that was the end. A week later, I took a completely different route to avoid that highway. As I crossed an overpass closer to home, I looked in my rear view. There was something standing at the edge. Red hoodie, still, facing the guardrail. I didn't stop, I didn't slow down, but I know what I saw. And now, Every time I drive at night, I catch myself scanning every bridge, every overpass, just in case she's there, watching. The guy who knew my name. This happened years ago when I was living in Houston for school. It was a Thursday night, and I was walking out of the grocery store around 9:30 p.m. I'd just finished a night class, grabbed some snacks, and was waiting out front for my Uber. I was supposed to go out with some friends, but I just didn't feel like it. Then this guy walks up to me, well-dressed, probably mid-30s, carrying a satchel and wearing glasses. He looked like he could have been a tech recruiter or a guy who teaches business seminars. He smiled and said, "Hey, Emily, right?" I froze. He said it so casually, like we were old friends. I asked him if we knew each other, and he chuckled. "Yeah, from high school, right? Debate team." But I wasn't on debate team. I didn't even go to school in Texas. I told him he must be thinking of someone else, but he just kept smiling. "You used to wear that old NASA hoodie all the time. You still have it?" My stomach dropped. I did have a hoodie like that, but it was something I used to wear years ago when I was 16 back in Ohio. I didn't know what to say, so I backed up a little. "How do you know that?" He paused, and then he said, "We have mutuals online, don't worry." Then he looked over my shoulder. "Is that your Uber?" And sure enough, a black Toyota Corolla had just pulled up. The driver rolled down the window and called my name. I bolted toward it without saying another word to the guy. As I got in, I glanced back. The man was still standing there, watching, smiling. The driver was silent, mid-40s, bearded, soft music playing, the usual. About 2 minutes into the ride, he spoke for the first time. "You're lucky," he said. I asked, "What?" The man who waved me down, he gave me an extra 20 to make sure you got home safe. I asked him to pull over. He didn't. He said, "Don't worry, it's not weird. He said you two were close. He just wanted to make sure you got back okay." That's when I texted a friend and dropped a pin. We were 5 minutes from my apartment. I kept thinking, if he knows where I live, what else does he know? I got out as soon as we pulled up, didn't even wait for the car to fully stop. I sprinted inside my building and locked the door. That night, my buzzer went off 4 times. No one said anything, just 4 sharp buzzes spaced a few minutes apart. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I found a sticky note wedged under my door. Just a yellow square with 6 words, written in neat block letters. "You look just like your mother." That's when I almost made the worst mistake of my life, because I had never told anyone in Texas anything about my family. I called my mom in a panic. She told me about a man she used to know when she was younger, someone she distanced herself from before I was born. He used to follow her. He moved states when she got married. That night, I remembered something. The NASA hoodie. It wasn't something I'd ever posted online, but my mom used to have a photo of me wearing it on our fridge. A photo that went missing last summer when I helped her move. I reported the whole incident to the cops, but there wasn't much to go on. No camera footage outside the grocery store. The Uber was real, but the driver account had been deleted the next day. I had a friend go with me everywhere for the next 6 months. I was rarely alone. Sometimes I still wonder what would have happened if I'd stayed to talk to him, or if I let my guard down, what would have happened. The apartment across the hall. My name's Mitch. I used to live in a small apartment complex just outside of Austin. 8 units, quiet tenants, mostly working professionals and students. My place was on the 4th floor, directly across from Unit 4D. I never saw anyone come in or out of 4D. No music, no smells, no Amazon packages, just a closed door with a black welcome mat and peephole covered with tape. A couple of months in, weird things started happening. At first it was subtle. I'd hear shuffling footsteps in the hallway around 2 or 3 a.m. Always soft, barefoot maybe. I'm a night owl, so maybe they thought I was asleep, but I heard everything. But when I looked through my peephole, the hall would be empty. One night, I forgot to lock the deadbolt. I woke up around 4:30 a.m. after just going to bed to a faint click, like the sound of a doorknob turning very slowly. I laid there, holding my breath, listening. It stopped. I checked the door. The knob had been turned just enough to slide the latch out of alignment, but the chain lock held. I started using a door jamb bar after that. A week later, a note appeared under my door. Just a torn page from a notebook. No handwriting, just a crude drawing of a man sleeping in bed, viewed from the foot of the bed, like someone had been standing there. I showed it to my landlord. She said 4D was supposed to be vacant. Supposed to be, but it wasn't, I thought to myself. That night, I stayed up, lights off, door locked. I set up my phone to record the hallway through the peephole. At exactly 3:18 a.m., the light sensor on my phone flicked on. Motion detected. I watched the clip in the morning. A man, balding, barefoot, wearing what looked like a maintenance uniform, walked from the stairwell and stopped at my door. He didn't knock, didn't try the handle. He just bent down and looked directly under the door, like he was trying to see inside. He stayed there for a full 42 seconds. Then he stood up, turned to 4D, and walked straight in. No key, no sound, just opened the door like he lived there. That's when I realized he wasn't trying to break in. He already had access. He was watching, waiting. I reported it to the landlord again, showed her the video. She went pale and said, "We had a guy that worked here a few years back, maintenance subcontractor, creepy. Had to let him go, but he kept copies of old keys. Police got involved." She swore 4D had been cleared out. They opened it that afternoon. Inside was a mattress, a stack of notebooks, and dozens of photos taped to the wall. Photos of me, at work, sleeping, walking to my car. Every single one of them taken through a peephole or a vent. I moved out immediately. I haven't been the same since, to be honest.